Jealousy never announces itself as danger. It smiles, it laughs, and it calls itself friendship. She never imagined that the people walking beside her were the same ones digging a place to bury her. Her name was Agma. In her small village, people didn't call her by her name. They called her the beauty of the gods. She never asked for that name. She never wanted attention. But from the day she was old enough to walk to the stream alone, the world noticed her before she noticed herself. Agma was gentle, quiet, the kind of girl who kept her eyes low and her heart soft. Yet wherever she went, eyes followed. And with those eyes came whispers. Agma was her parents' only child. They were not rich. Just humble farmers with tired hands and honest hearts. Their home sat quietly between rows of cassava and yam ridges, where mornings smelled of earth and hard work. Her mother was warmth itself. A woman whose laughter could soften even the hardest day. She believed kindness was strength. Her father was different. Quiet. Steady. A man who believed silence could solve most problems. Life wasn't perfect. But it was peaceful. And for a long time, that was enough. The trouble didn't begin loudly. It crept in slowly, like a shadow stretching at sunset. Whenever Agma walked through the village square, she noticed laughter that stopped too quickly. Whispers that followed her steps. At first, she told herself it meant nothing. Just idle talk. Just girls being girls. But one afternoon, by the stream, she heard a voice hiss behind her. See how she walks, like she owns the whole village. She turned. 3 girls stood together, always together. Their smiles were thin. Their eyes sharp with something that wasn't humor. Agma forced a smile, hoping kindness would soften them. It didn't. From that day on, her name became their favorite topic. They mocked her walk. They mocked her face. They laughed as if her existence was an insult. Agma learned how to smile in public and cry in private. She would walk home with her head held high, pretending the words didn't hurt. But the moment the door closed behind her, the tears came. Her mother always noticed. She noticed the silence. She noticed the way Agma avoided mirrors. One evening, she pulled her close and brushed her hair gently. My daughter, she said softly. Even sweet honey attracts jealous flies. Do not dim your light because others can't handle it. The words were comforting. But they didn't stop the pain. In a small village, being beautiful felt less like a gift and more like a curse. The teasing didn't stop. It changed shape. The whispers grew darker, sharper. They started calling her names, saying her beauty wasn't natural, saying no girl should look like that. Soon, rumors followed her like dust. That her mother must have gone to a shrine. That something about Agma was not normal. People who once smiled at her began to keep their distance. Conversations stopped when she walked by. Her mother was furious when she heard the lies. They will not destroy my child's name because of jealousy, she said, her voice shaking with anger. But her father only sighed. People will always talk, he said quietly. Let them talk. Agma tried to believe him. But it's hard to ignore hatred when even children laugh behind your back. After a while, her mother stopped sending her out as often. Not because Agma had done anything wrong, but because the world outside had grown cruel. So she stayed home, helping on the farm, cooking, moving through her days like a shadow. But staying away didn't bring peace. It brought silence. She could hear laughter drifting past their compound. Girls walking together, talking, singing, sharing secrets. Sometimes Agma would peek through the bamboo fence, watching them disappear down the path to the village square. Her chest would tighten. She didn't want attention. She didn't want admiration. She just wanted what every heart wants: friendship, belonging. And it was that loneliness that made her vulnerable to what came next. Then one morning, the sound of the town crier's gong echoed through the village. "Hear ye! Hear ye! The prince is ready to choose a wife." There would be a grand dance at the palace. Every unmarried girl in the village was invited. Excitement spread like fire. Women began sewing new wrappers. Girls practiced dance steps beneath mango trees. But Agma felt something different. Fear. She had no desire to go. She already knew what waited for her there. Whispers. Mockery. Eyes full of envy. When she told her mother she wanted to stay home, her mother shook her head gently. "No, my daughter," she said firmly. "You will go. Do not let fear cage your destiny." Agma looked down, unsure. But somewhere beneath the doubt, a small spark of hope flickered back to life. So Agma began to prepare, quietly. She did not announce it to anyone. She did not celebrate loudly. From her mother's wooden box, she found a simple but beautiful wrapper. One kept for special days. Her mother watched her dress, her eyes soft with pride. She reached into her neck pouch and placed a cowrie necklace around Agma's neck. "You look like a queen," she said, smiling. For a moment, Agma forgot the whispers. She forgot the laughter. She stood a little straighter. She allowed herself to imagine the palace, the music, the dance. She didn't know it yet. But while she was preparing for a night of hope, others were preparing something very different. Agma thought the worst of the village was behind her. But the girls who had mocked her had a different plan. Anna, Olivia, and Banter met by the stream that morning. "Do you think she'll come to the dance?" Banter asked. "She better not," Olivia replied. "If she comes, everyone will look at her, not us. We can't allow that." They smiled and plotted. Their plan was cruel, but they hid it behind laughter and peace offerings. A few days later, they approached Agma's home, carrying roasted groundnuts and fruit. "We're sorry for how we treated you," they said, voices sweet and empty. "We've grown up. We want to be friends." Her mother pulled her aside that evening. "Oma," she whispered, "be careful. Snakes don't change, they just shed their skin." But Agma's heart was tired of loneliness. She wanted to believe. And for the first time in months, she allowed herself to trust them again. Agma's trust returned slowly. They laughed together, braided her hair, complimented her dance steps. She felt normal for the first time in months. Then came the day she showed them the outfit she planned to wear to the dance. They gasped and whispered praise. "You look like a goddess," Banter said, smiling with eyes that didn't reach her words. Agma didn't notice the warning signs. She didn't see the cruel calculation hiding behind their smiles. Later, they gathered outside, whispering in the shadows. Their plan was ready. A pit hidden in the bush, meant to stop her from ever reaching the palace. The girls carried tools, hoes, shovels, digging day after day. Sweat dripped from their brows, fueled by envy, as the pit grew deep and wide. And Agma, filled with hope and excitement, remained unaware. She only felt the warmth of friendship she had longed for. The day of the dance arrived. Agma woke early, her heart full of hope. Her mother hugged her tightly. "Go alone. Trust no one today," she whispered. Agma promised she would be careful. She left for the palace, carrying dreams of music, dancing, and celebration. Soon, the girls appeared, bright and cheerful. "Beauty. Let's take a shortcut through the bush," they said. "We don't want anyone seeing our clothes before the palace." Her heart whispered no, But her mind whispered yes. She believed they had changed. They laughed together as they walked deeper into the bush. Until the path narrowed, the birds fell silent, and the laughter stopped. "This way, Beauty." "The path is smoother," Anna said, her voice sweet but cold. Agma stepped forward, and the ground gave way. She fell into the pit they had dug, her legs hitting hard earth below. Above her, the girl stood, smiles cruel and unbroken. "The village beauty, the queen-to-be," Anna sneered. "Dance there." Their laughter echoed through the trees as Agma clawed at the edges, trapped, terrified, and alone. Dinter pulled Agma from the pit, steadying her trembling body. She drank water, her hands shaking, trying to calm the whirlwind of fear inside her. On the way back, he made a sudden decision. Instead of returning her to the village first, he took her straight to the palace. The moment they arrived, he explained everything to the king. Agma's parents rushed in, eyes wide with shock and relief. She told them what had happened, the betrayal, the pit, the lies. The king, queen, and her parents listened in horror. The king's face turned red with anger. "Who would dare harm a child of this village?" he demanded. The jealous girls were summoned. At first, they denied everything. But under the king's gaze, the truth spilled out. They admitted to their envy, their cruel plan, their lies. The king's punishment was clear and firm. They would be locked away and shunned from the village, never to harm another. Agma's parents finally exhaled, their daughter safe and unharmed. The danger had passed, and justice had been served. With the truth revealed and the danger gone, the village breathed a collective sigh of relief. The jealous girls were punished and shunned. Agma's name and honor were restored. The prince, who had watched the events unfold, stepped forward. "I have found my bride," he announced. He walked to Agma, lifted her to her feet, and brushed the dust from her wrapper. "You are the one," he said warmly. Cheers erupted through the palace halls. The crowd celebrated, their voices filled with joy. Agma's parents embraced her tightly, tears of happiness streaming down their faces. The hunter, Dinter, was rewarded for his courage and quick action. For Agma, her journey through fear, betrayal, and loneliness had ended. Her beauty, once a curse in the eyes of the envious, became the light that led her to destiny. And from that day forward, she was no longer just the beauty of the village. She was a symbol of resilience, hope, and the power of courage. Subscribe to this channel for more fairy tale story.